The Couple Next Door, written by Peg Lynch and starring Peg Lynch and Ethel Bunce.
Really, it's so wonderful to be home again. You don't realize how nice home is until you're away from it, do you? You finished with the front part of the paper? May I have it, dear? Oh, thank you. By the way, did you mail the letter I gave you this morning? Dear?
What?
The one to Mr. Cole in Boston, saying that I'm not doing anything about Laura's estate and relinquishing my claims. The letter I wrote.
Yes, dear. What about it?
Did you mail it? You didn't mail it?
Yes, dear. Yes, I did. Yes,
honestly, honey, I give you letters to mail and you carry them around for months.
Well, no, darling. I'm sure I mailed it. Now, look, don't worry about it, will you?
Check and make sure now.
Oh, honey, now, look, just stop worrying.
Well, I'm not worrying, but I can't help but remember the time I gave you all the invitations to an open house to mail. You just dumped them in the bottom of your briefcase and forgot.
Oh, God, don't bring that up again, will you?
Who's that stopping out in front?
Somebody? Oh, Mr. Rogers, I'll bet. I saw him downtown today, and he said he was going to drop out tonight. I thought it was a good idea if we're going to get going on our new house here.
Honestly, I wish you'd tell me when you ask people out,
where
dear.
you going? You look fine.
No lipstick, this faded old sweater. I'll be right back down.
Hey, honey, wait a minute. Look, now don't, please, don't bore the poor man with telling him all about our trip to Boston, honey. Do you hear me? Don't get out all the postcards and stuff that we bought,
I'll be right down.
Junior, smile up at Grandma. Oh, Mary, pull the baby's cap out of his eyes, will you? That's it. Now hold it, everybody. Oh, no more film in the camera. That's a great theme, Happy Holiday, but not when you run out of film for the big picture. Not when you forget any one of the many items that will make the big 3-day Memorial Day weekend a fun-loving, carefree holiday. Your first great outdoor holiday of the year. Half a day to go. Plan ahead. Make a list. Check everything. Buy now at your grocer's, your supermarket, your druggist. Don't miss the big picture at any moment because something's missing. Check now, list now, buy now, and then have a happy holiday. And all throughout your happy holiday, the world is as near as your CBS radio network station. Broadcasting the news by Edward R. Murrow, Lowell Thomas, Robert Trout, Alan Jackson, and Bill Downs.
And then this is where we stopped the first day. This is Longfellow's house. Now, that's right in Cambridge near Harvard.
Oh, yes.
Dear.
Beautiful house, big yellow colonial with white trim and dark green shutters. Isn't it lovely?
Oh, yes, indeed. Really,
honey, Mr. Rogers doesn't want to see. I mean, all the postcards and folders that you brought back.
Oh, it's very interesting.
There, now you see?
Well...
Now, this is the inside of Longfellow's house. This is the living room. And this is where he sat when he wrote The Village Blacksmith.
Is that so? Is that so?
Yes, and that's very interesting, too. On the bus tour that day, we went past the place where the old village blacksmith's shop used to be.
Is that so?
Yes, and his house is still there, but the shop is gone. And also the spreading chestnut tree is gone, too. Oh, yes, and it was cut down by accident. The guide said some workmen were building something, and by accident, one of them cut down the famous old spreading chestnut tree.
Isn't that interesting?
Look, instead of talking about all the houses that were built back in 16 or 17 something, how about talking about one that I hope is going to be built in 19 something?
He always thinks I'm boring everybody with our trip.
Not at all. No, indeed.
Well...
You forget, dear, that Mr. Rogers is really more of an antique lover than you are, sweetie. Say, show Mr. Rogers the spinning wheel we got.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what'd we do with it?
It's up in the guest room.
Oh, yeah.
Careful now. Now, look, don't wake Betsy.
No.
Be real quiet now, will you? We stopped at this antique place on the way to Boston and picked up this spinning wheel, which I thought will be marvelous for the front hall of our new house, you know?
Yes, very nice. Well, you seem to have had quite a good trip.
Oh, we did, and I certainly thought of you, Mr. Rogers, as I was going through all these historic old houses. Oh, how I wish we had those magnificent fireplaces, you know?
Oh, yes.
And the beautiful paneling.
Oh, yeah.
And the floors.
Beautiful?
Oh, just, absolutely lovely. Just lovely,
What's so lovely? Well, here it is. Here's the spinning wheel.
I was telling him about the beautiful floors in these old houses.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Listen, by the time we got through all those old houses with those beautiful old wavy floors, I got seasick just walking across them.
Oh, honey, don't
I
be
did.
silly. Oh,
Well,
lovely.
there it is. What do you think of the spinning wheel, Mr. Rogers? I think we got stung myself.
Well, let me look at it more closely.
Cost me a pretty penny, I'll tell you that. And I thought I was very clever about it. Oh, yeah, I was getting a real antique. Well, we hadn't driven 1 mile before I saw about 24 spinning wheels for $15 apiece. I tell you, I felt a little sick.
Well, I'm far from being an expert.
Well, you'd certainly know more about it than we do, aren't you?
I think this looks like a museum piece.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Really?
This was made in 1700 sometime,
Really?
maybe earlier.
Well, you mean I really outsmarted that antique fella?
Well, you didn't outsmart him, dear. You paid for it.
Well, whatever you paid, I think it's probably worth it. And a real antique is money in the bank. The older it gets, the more valuable it becomes.
There you see, honey. That's what I told you, huh?
No, dear, that's what I told you. You weren't interested in antiques, remember?
Oh, was that it? All right, maybe so.
No, I think you've got a real find here. Needs a little repair, but it looks like a mighty fine spinning wheel.
Yeah, well, by golly, who was the one who insisted on buying it, huh? Who was?
Who was the one who found it and wanted to buy it, and her husband thought she was crazy?
Oh, all right, okay.
Who was?
Okay, all right, I admit. Go ahead.
Well, glad you had a good trip.
Yeah,
Hey,
well,
I guess
we
we didn't
did.
tell Mr. Rogers about the will business, you know?
Oh, well, let's not go into all that, dear. He wouldn't be interested.
Well, I think it's fascinating.
Well,
Listen, Mr. Rogers.
Dear.
She had a rather eccentric cousin who died and left $500,000. Yeah, her house, 15 acres of land, and 27 cats.
Cats?
Yeah, cats. She left all this to whichever surviving relatives would live in the house and take care of the cats.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah, it turned out she didn't have any money to leave, and nobody seems to want to take care of the cats. So I guess the estate will go to some college right near there.
Chaucer College.
Chaucer
it is,
College.
27 cats.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
What
I'm
about that, huh?
What was the house like that your cousin left? A lot of those old houses near Boston are pretty old.
Oh, it was old, all right. One good push and it would fall over.
Oh, honestly. We drove out to see it one afternoon. I hate to say it since she was a relative of mine, but with no repairs for so many years, it was pretty awful. Now, of course, I don't know anything really about, how to tell how old a house is, but it did have one of those big chimneys. I noticed that.
Oh, you don't mean a big center chimney?
Yes.
Very deep?
Yes, it was about 8 feet square, I should think, and it had, 3 fireplaces in it on 3 sides.
Wait, did you see the foundation of the chimney in the basement?
Oh, no, we didn't go down to the basement.
Oh, no, we'd have broken a leg.
Dear. Of course, even I could see that the house had possibilities, you know.
What for? A good bonfire?
It had, of course, beamed ceilings all over the place, and they were very picturesque looking.
Picturesque. That place looked like a cowshed.
What kind of wood?
Really? Oh, I wouldn't have any idea. I just don't know the different woods, except they wasn't pine or oak. The beams had little triangular marks in them. I remember that. Yes.
Axe marks.
What?
Axe marks. That means the beams are very old. What color was the wood?
Well, it was very dark, wouldn't you say, dear? But not painted. In fact, all the woodwork and floors, I would say, were of the same wood, but I know it wasn't oak or anything valuable, I wouldn't think, Mr. Rogers.
What were the trees like on the property?
Oh, they were black walnut trees. I know. I was talking to the woman who lived next door, and she said it was quite a mess in the fall when all the walnuts dropped
Black
off.
walnuts?
Yes, I know, but she said the walnuts were all worm-eaten, and they couldn't use them at all. I have a recipe for black walnut cake. It's
Mr. Rogers, are you all right?
Don't you see? In the old days, they always used the trees on the property for the beams, the woodwork, and floors when they built their homes.
What do you mean? I mean, what does that have to do with what?
I suspect that the floors, the woodwork, and the beams in your cousin's house are priceless black walnut. Why, you couldn't buy them. Things like that are priceless. Well, forgive me for getting so excited.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I just don't know what you're so excited about.
Honey, Mr. Rogers thinks maybe the floors of Laura's house are black walnut.
You excited about the floors? I saw them. Oh, they're priceless, all right.
And, Mr. Rogers, I noticed the hinges and the hardware, and they seem to be all hand-wrought. Now that I think back, at the time I just thought they looked kind of Well, I hate the word, but crummy.
Well, why would we want them if they look crummy?
They're early American, dear. And Mr. Rogers... Oh, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me then. But the diamond-paned windows... Yes, they did. They look just the way they did in the Paul Revere house. Why, I'm sure those are the original hand-wrought leaded panes. Get Mr. Rogers a drink of water, dear.
Water? It looks like he needs an oxygen tent.
Get Mr. Rogers some water.
We'll return to The Couple Next Door in just a moment.
Babies, you know, have a world of their own. An exciting world of smiling faces, wondrous sounds, fascinating adventure at every turn. A happy, loving world to grow and thrive in. And the finest foods for baby have a world of their own, too. It's called Beechnut Babyland, and it's a very special place. A place where a whole wonderful world of care and attention goes into every beechnut baby food. Like beechnut peas, so extra good and green and sweet to start with, and then prepared so extra carefully. That's why every jar of beechnut peas brings you the special nourishment, the special sun-fresh flavor that comes only from Beechnut Babyland. Treat your baby to the very special goodness of Beechnut Babyland. Get Beechnut, the most babied foods in the world.
Well, I must apologize. I realize that it's absurd to get so carried away by the thought of black walnut floors.
Oh, I know what you mean, Mr.
Do you
Rogers.
recall if there was enough flooring for the downstairs?
Well, I'm not sure, but I should think so. Certainly for the front hall, dining room, and living room.
How about windows?
Well, that house is big. We would certainly have enough
What
for
are
the
you two
least...
talking about?
Well, our new house, dear. Now, if we could get these things from Laura's house and use them for our new house, I mean, think of the...
Are you crazy? Why, I wouldn't have those dirty old floors in my new house. Well, the boards aren't even, the floors are wavy, and I might remind you, you can't get Laura's house anyway, unless you go there and live and take care of her cats.
Oh, he's right.
Yeah.
I won't be getting any of Laura's estate. Just this morning, I wrote a letter relinquishing any claims on it, and I gave it to him to mail. Wouldn't you know, the first time in his life he remembers to mail a letter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or didn't you? You didn't.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
here it is.
You dickhead.
Any other time,
that's
she'd have been furious, of course. Of course, I'd like to know how that solves anything, getting the letter back. But...
Well, I'm going to wait and find out first if the things in Laura's house are worth anything to us.
I'm going to Boston over Memorial Day weekend. Finally, I've got a good excuse.
You see, dear, as soon as Mr. Rogers and I find out if the things are what we want for our new house, then we'll have to figure out how to get them.
Exactly. Now, looking at the plans I drew up, and now if we should put in that center chimney,
Yes,
it depends on how much black walnut flooring we
But
have.
I don't like
I know.
those floors,
Yes,
honey.
I know.
I mean, what's wrong with good modern floors? I mean, honey, those floors look like walking on a roller coaster, and those beams had holes in them. I mean, you know, honey.
Darling, do you mind?
Well-
Dear Mr. Rogers and I are trying to make some plans here. Now, you'll
But,
love
darling,
it, darling. You will. Now, let's see. If
Oh,
we have the
I
black
guess I might just as well
old,
give
real
up.
old hands.
The Couple Next Door is written by Peg Lynch and stars Peg Lynch and Alan Bunce with John Gibson and is produced by Walter Hart.